who are you? All right, so who are you?
I'm just a small town girl from Georgia. That's it. That's all I am.
Rebecca Starling.
Rebecca Starling, that's me, yeah.
The reason I started going to the gym was because endurance training was not giving me the results that I wanted. I wanted to see definition, and I learned that my vision for teaching women macros and strength training is to debunk the theory that cardio is the only thing that women can do. Things in life are never comfortable. If you want results, you have to put yourself out there and do the hard things. Weights, strength training may not be something you're used to, but if you want the results, you put yourself in the position, you get the education, the knowledge, and you get in the gym and you find yourself in the weights. Because women lift too.
How long you been in the Carolinas?
A year. I moved here last year, yeah.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
That is an interesting question. Actually, it's a great question. This has got an interesting answer. I just consider myself an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur?
I started a small business in Georgia, and my oldest daughter took that over, please. Yeah. And then I had visited Greenville several times, fell in love with it, had started another business in Georgia that I thought would do well in Greenville, and stayed here for about a month in a VRBO, truly loved it, and then just moved and brought the business here.
Your oldest daughter? How old is your oldest daughter?
She's 20 years old.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so I met you because a friend of yours
Yes.
told me that you were looking to have someone do a commercial for you.
Yes.
I tell this story to everybody. So I met Rebecca because I wanted to shoot a commercial for her. She needed somebody to shoot a commercial. We sat down and talked about commercial probably for about 15 minutes before she touched my soul. Made me like you. It was dope.
I think it was a mutual thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think when the universe has a plan, it's mutually beneficial.
Do you believe it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you believe you're spiritual. So you're a spiritual person.
Very spiritual person, yes.
Tell me about your spirituality.
Well, to condense it down to something that we can fit in this time frame, it would be I was raised in a very, I wouldn't say conservative Christian, because it was more like a Pentecostal, non-denominational type environment.
Me too.
In which it served me so well. It gave me the ability to have a very raw relationship with God, but in my beliefs, I thought God was in control of everything, and so therefore, as long as I did all of the good girl things, that everything would go perfectly well for me. And when my marriage of 23 years ended, and I really thought that I had done everything, I was at the place where it's F you, God, I'm done. And I was like, that's it. I want nothing else to do with it. And it's funny because he'll let you do that because he loves you so much that there's nothing forceful about him. Come full circle. It took me about a year to realize that he is just as powerful today as he ever was. But I was able to let go of a lot of limiting beliefs. And so...
Give me one. One limiting belief.
That God is in control of everything.
So you don't believe God is in control of everything?
No, I don't. If that was the case, he'd control us and make us do everything he wanted us to do.
Okay. So for the people that say, it's already mapped out and God already had, what is your rebuttal to that?
I'm a science girl. And so I love to study science, and a lot of the religious beliefs that I had didn't serve me well because there were doubts. And those doubts, when you have a small doubt, it kind of like casts it out on everything subconsciously.
Right.
Like if he says he can heal you, then why couldn't he save my marriage? If so there were things that just didn't add up. And someone mentioned to me something about the law of attraction, where I had never heard of it before, but something in me said if he's a free will God, that means he gives us the ability to make all of these decisions.
Facts.
So if he gives us the ability and he's a free will God, I need to know more about this law of attraction. So I believe God is the same God I've always known and loved, but recognizing that he gave us all of the power.
So the same God that you've always known and loved, but now you have a higher understanding,
Yes.
a better relationship,
Right.
and you have the ability to actually give more of yourself to the will of God or to the universe
Right.
than you did before.
Oh, for sure. Well, and it's just so enlightening because now instead of holding God accountable, I realize I'm in control and you're in control.
You take responsibility.
And I take responsibility and recognizing even in the law of attraction, it's so perfect that when things happen to me that I don't understand, I no longer view them as bad. I go, okay, what can I learn? Because I attracted that for a reason. The short story, I was outside working with a client. We were working out, and this bee is swarming around me, and everything is the law of attraction. It's like gravity. It's working at all times.
Right.
And so as this bee's swarming, I'm kind of like giddy and jumping, and my client's like, oh, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, this bee. And it's scaring me because this story. And I tell her the story about hitting a yellow jacket's nest, and I got stung like almost 40 times. It was really horrific. But I'm telling her the story because, one, I don't want her to think I'm a wimp because I'm running from this bee.
Okay.
And two, I want to be a badass. I want to feel tough. I got stung X amount of times and I can handle it. And the sympathy. Like, oh, you poor thing. This is so sad for you. I wanted all of that. So as this bee is swarming around me and my client leaves, I'm walking on the whole other end of the property and this bee comes back and I'm like, if this is about the law of attraction, then tell me what this is. And he was like, well, Bex, if you really wanted attention from all the stories about the bees, I'll bring you more bees so you can have more sympathy. You can feel like a badass again. But if that's not important to you, if it's really about love, then you decide. You want more of the sympathy? Do you want more of the feeling like a badass from bee stings? Or what do you want? And it's kind of like that. So if you really allow it to teach you, you'll realize everything's for a reason.
But you have to be aware.
You have to be aware.
And what you just told me is that you were aware of all of it at the same time. All these different emotions, all of these different characters, all of these different opinions of yourself, all at the same time.
Right.
And you were able to not just be aware, but acknowledge them and acknowledge God or the universe in them, and acknowledge the reprimand in the end. You know.
Well, and see, like again, the word reprimand makes me think of how I would have viewed that as God punishing me for wanting sympathy or wanting all of these, emotions and things from some other person focused at me. God would punish me by sending this bee to come after me. When the truth is, God's standing over here in love,
Right.
calling me to it. Pure love, not needing anything. I'm attracting. I can't blame that on him. There's no punishment coming my way. Everything that I get, everything that comes into my path is me attracting it. And every bit of it is to make me aware of anything that's not love. So therefore, he's just over here in love, minding his own business, loving, calling me to it. Come on, girl, come on. Well, I'll wait right here. When you get done with that, I'll still be here in love, but it's on me.
Godly love for your children.
Right.
What about your relationship? Let's talk about it before we get into all the important stuff.
Okay.
Let's talk about
which relationship?
Your relationship with a significant other.
So I don't have a significant other.
Why?
I believe in the law of attraction so much that I'm trusting it.
What if your significant other is like something or someone that you despise? Like what I mean is like the image of, the thought of something that you just really would have turned away from, walked away from before you reached this area. And what if your significant other is a test for your belief in the law of attraction? What if you attract what you really don't want?
You'll always attract what you don't want because it's your way to get back to loving everything and learning to love everything.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you'll always attract what you don't want because those are the things that help shape you into the purest love.
God. All right, so look. she just said something. You will always attract what you don't want. So what if I just start wanting everything?
That's when you'll get it. It all has to be geared back to love. If it's coming from a place of manipulation or selfishness or pride or anything that's not pure love, then it's not coming because it's a path of love. It's like here's God and he's pure love. There's nothing more, nothing less.
Right.
And then there's us and there's this path between us and that. And everything that we desire, because the Bible says he gives us the desires of our heart. Everything that we desire is on that path. But anytime we allow an emotion that is contrary to love come into our lives, then that's like, we'll never block ourselves from the love of God because you can't cut yourself off from him. He's always there. But you can, I used to always say like a black cloud. So a cloud's not a solid piece, so it can't stop it from coming through, but it can definitely hinder it. So when you are working from a motive less than love, it's like you just put this dark cloud in a certain area of your life where you block the light from coming in. And because you're working from that emotion, whether it's self-pity, fear, whatever, then you'll just attract it. It's kind of like, I'm going to make it, it's going to be apparent to you because you're going to draw it into your existence and it's going to be a whisper at first. Like, hey, you see, you got this, right? You don't hear it. Okay. Hey, you know, there's this thing you got going on inside that if you can fix it, you know, I don't even say fix it, but if you can grow from it, there's a lot waiting on the other side of that. And then it becomes a yell and then it becomes a lost job or a divorce or a death or, you know, things like that. But it's just you and a path. God's standing, waiting, and it's your decision on how you take that path.
Okay. Are y'all catching this? Are you catching this? Wow.
You gotta go to your notes.
I have to go to the box now because you made me think of a scripture that says obedience is better than sacrifice.
Yes.
And you know, once you hear that voice and you get that pull and you see the signs and you refuse to acknowledge them or make the move on them, then a lost job, a lost relationship, lost this or lost that. And it's all because you weren't being obedient to the voice of the universe. Some say God, but I say the universe.
Right.
And you caught me again. You always catch me, Rebecca. Like I told my mama. No, actually, I was telling a young guy the other day about how God works. And I was telling him about how we met. And I was telling him, like 6 months later, I'm in my kitchen. My mom had just come to visit me for the first time in 3 years. She had never seen my home. I was so happy to have her here. And we were talking about what God is doing because she's a minister.
Yes.
And she's into it. She prays, worships, and studies. That's it. I'm just now getting her out the house. But anyway, while we're talking and I'm going over these plans that I got and I'm like, I don't know if it's right. She's like, let God lead you. Then I get a text from you. After like 6 months that says, I think it said like, matter of fact, I can't go to the text, but you basically said, yo, I got a call from God and he said, keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right path. And I said, yo, Rebecca keep touching me. She keep touching me and I don't like that. I don't like the touch.
It's God. He's just like, he can't, well, he can, but his voice is inaudible. It's energy.
That's right.
And so sometimes we get really caught up in what's going on that we don't hear it. But he will be like, oh, oh, this one over here sitting, she's not doing anything. Hey, I need you to call him and just tell him this really quick.
Right.
And so when you're
right
listening,
on time, too.
when you're listening, and that's the thing, you have no idea how amazing it is when you're like you and I, where we love people so much. That is so close to the heart of God and what God is about, that it's easy for him to get through to us because we're already so close to that energetic vibration anyways. We're already tuned, like, I like to think of it as like a rainbow, and all of these colors are filtering through the sun. And I don't even know how many different colors, but it's a lot. And for the most part, we're 80% of those colors are coming through, but maybe because we're not perfect, we're human. We're never going to be 100% until we're free of this. I don't even want to say free, because this is a gift. It
is a beautiful
but
gift.
When this life is over, then we'll be 100% of the rainbow. But until then, we just strive to be 80 to 90% at any given time. And the more you're letting in, the more you're able to give out. But it's kind of selfish, because the more you're letting in, it's kind of like a water hose. As the water flows, you get wet. So it's like you get all of these amazing things. My life is more amazing. The only time I could say that it was this amazing is when I was a mother raising my girls. That was pretty fantastic. But it's kind of like, it doesn't even make sense to me how everyone's not doing it, because like you get all of these wonderful things, and then you're able to be a blessing to other people as well because of it.
Give me an example of one of those wonderful things.
Well, again, following your heart, I think is a really big deal. People a lot of times think that their desires are selfish, but the truth is they're not. So I wanted to start a fitness journey after my kids were born, and I was 33. I'd never been physically fit a day in my life, never did anything, and I started a fitness journey. I got up early in the mornings, and I started this fitness journey and started doing competitions and figured out how to raise my metabolic rate, and just did all this because it was interesting to me. Well, since the divorce, I'd always wanted to use my love of fitness to help others. And I reluctantly started a social media account. I don't selfie, and I definitely don't self-video, but I met with a mentor who said, make the video today, do it today. And I sat in front of that camera and I made this video for an hour and deleted every single time. And I got up from my chair and I was like, this is not for me. And that energetic voice said, girlfriend, you're talking to yourself, and you're caring about what you look like, and you're caring about what you think, or what you're saying. You're caring too much about what you see. Speak to the people on the other side of that camera.
That's right.
Because this isn't about you. This is about them. I sat back down, I hit record, and I just pretended there was a group of women on the other side of that camera. And in one take, it was done. And within 6 weeks, I went from making one video, never even having a follower, to 10,000 followers. It's like super fast.
Where can we find you?
Tell
the camera.
I'm on Instagram and TikTok, Facebook, and it's Metabolism Mastered.
Across the board.
Across the board, yep, Metabolism Mastered.
So if I follow Metabolism Mastered, I'm going to get a lot of good information that will allow me to get a six-pack in 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, I don't want to give you a timer. So that's the beauty of metabolic rate, is that everyone's different. But because everyone's different, this is a process that works for everyone, and it's based on science. I'm not the only one who does. I didn't discover it. I just discovered that it was a thing. I put it into practice when I was doing my competitions and got in the best shape of my life. I'm competing again. November 19th.
Where?
Shelby, North Carolina. Yep. And so I started, doing, I've always counted macros, but you get so used to it that you don't necessarily have to be meticulous. But I started the cutting process like I always did with the macros, and I could potentially get on stage this weekend comfortably and feel like I was ready. Yeah. So it just worked. So I was able to use a desire. Like I was getting fit for myself.
Right.
I was doing competitions for myself, running marathons for myself, going to the gym for myself, doing all this because I love the way it made me feel. I did it for me. But now my passion, I'm able to share it. And I have people that aren't clients. Like they don't pay for any of my stuff. They just follow my social media and they're messaging me. I've lost 65 pounds. I've lost 55 pounds just watching the stuff that I put on social media. I'm going to be honest. Cheat meals in the first 3 months, probably not the best idea. However, if you're counting macros, then you can definitely fit it in your macros and you can definitely do it. If you're going to chance it and do that cheat meal. And I say chance it because most people in the first 3 months don't know the process well enough to really compensate for those extra calories. However, make sure that you take out every single calorie that you use for your cheat meal because that may be the only meal you get that day. And then make sure the next day you get right back on track. If for some reason that cheat meal goes over your calorie count, then it's like the bank. When you withdraw too much money, you gotta put it back. So you're gonna have to take it off from one of your other days. It's not worth it in the first 3 months, but it's doable.
How important is desire?
It's everything.
Everything.
Well, it's what we were created for. We are God in the flesh.
Preach.
That's it. We are, every religion teaches it. We are the Spirit of God living a human experience. And I'm a firm believer we are 80% Spirit of God, 20%, this is just a costume.
That's right.
And when you realize that you are God and this is the personality that God chose to take here on this earth, you're like, would I want to come and live this human experience if it wasn't going to be fantastic?
Here's the thing. You say this is just a costume. You have a beautiful costume.
I do, I know.
Right?
Yes.
But the 80% inside of the costume is beautiful as well, which in today's time is very, very, very rare.
Right.
How can someone get past the costume to get to the energy, the spirit, the divine person that they're encountering?
You mean for anybody? Like
For
any person?
any person.
How do they do it for themselves?
For themselves and for, if I'm looking, say I'm searching, I'm using the laws of attraction, and I'm actually active in my look. How can I, or in my search, how can I get past the 20% and get to the 80%?
Well, when you recognize that the law of attraction is about allowing and not asserting, then you get back to faith or trust. Meaning you don't have to go looking, it comes to you. You attract it to you.
Let me attract a cameraman real quick, Sean. Can you, no, don't worry, I see the light, it's still recording. But I did attract a cameraman.
See? When you need it comes.
It
exactly.
works. Okay, can y'all see my toe? No, I got a hole in my stocking. All right, so I want my talk show to be so much more than anything that's been on television. Really don't want to just go in any direction. I want to be directed by the energy.
That's right.
You heard that?
Yes.
So we both know I wanted you here to talk about health and your training and your fitness. Where do you want this conversation to go? Where do you think it should go?
I have a passion for people. I know how much joy is meant to have in this life. I know that if I were God, and if I were going to go, I'm going to go and be Demetrius for a lifetime, I would want myself to have every single thing that I ever wanted. And I would want to know that if I wanted it, it was just a matter of trusting and having faith and I could have it. And living through that experience, I was going to be able to live through the experience of a man of color, of a man who's experienced all of the highs, a man who has lived through contrasting situations to help you know what you don't want So now you know even more what you do want. And when you know what you do want, because you get the desires of your heart, now it's just a matter of, do you trust me? Because if you've lived something that says, I don't want this, but I know I want this, and if I know that I get the desires of my heart, no matter what, as long as it's geared and centered around a place of love and growth, then it's mine. And all I have to do is dream it, believe it, daydream about it, write about it, script about it, know it, trust it, and don't have any expectations about how it's coming, and recognize it's not about the coming, it's about the journey getting there. So if you have the dreams and the desires, oh, they're there, they're already there. Once you had that dream and desire, God was like, done. The path now is you getting there and trusting that even like on a roller coaster, when it dips and it climbs, that's the excitement of the ride. And in life, when it dips and it climbs, that's the excitement of life.
Okay, so you do this to me all the time. You start talking to my spirits. But I realized as you were talking that the world needs your conversation. You're not a local gal. You're not a national gal. You're worldwide. The world needs your authenticity, your truth. I've been listening to multiple people talk multiple things for as long as I can remember. But you're the only one besides Sad Guru that can actually talk to my spirit. There's a million people out there like me. I'm pretty sure there's a million people that need to hear this. But then there's billions of people out there that need to hear it as well. What is it that energizes you? What is it that you tell yourself every day that energizes you?
I'm a badass creator, and I create my own reality. And every single day I have choices in the thoughts that I believe, the thoughts that I think. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. If someone told you you were a loser as a kid and you believed that every day of your life, then that's what you would become. Einstein said it best. If you judge a fish on his ability to climb a tree, he will always think he's a dumbass. That's Beck's paraphrased. If you judge a fish on his intelligence based on if he can climb a tree or not, he'll always think he's stupid. But he was never meant to climb a tree. He was meant to swim in the water. Every one of us have our own desires that we've created by living this life on earth, and we've been tossed a lot of limiting beliefs when we were kids by, you can't do this and you shouldn't do that, and because you're a man you should do this and you should do that, because you're a woman you should do this and you should do that. And the truth is, we all came to earth to live an experience and to figure out life so that we can expand on earth. We went from horses and carriages to now we have electric cars. And Tesla, Elon Musk, he's not an educated man.
Right.
He connected with his creator. He got that information. I have 4 LLCs right now, and I don't even have a college education. I went to college, but I never finished. I got a high school diploma because I was forced to. I didn't really want to. But all of my businesses have come from just loving things, just loving it and going, I started a skincare. I didn't start a skincare business. I wanted some skincare stuff. I want to look young. I want to stay looking young. So I wanted to find something really healthy and all natural. And I used it for years. And then people start saying, what do you use on your skin to look so young? And I'm like, I just make my own. And it's now it has its own website. I make it in small batches and it goes all over the world.
Website, please. Give us the website.
BexBody.com.
BexBody.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's about loving life. Elon Musk doesn't sacrifice his life to make electric cars for everyone. He had a passion. He had a dream. He had a desire because he was connected. And in that connection, you know those times that you're sitting and you get that like, oh my God, that's such a great idea.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
That's why I'm here with you right now.
It came from your creator.
So we just need to connect. Stand still, pause, listen, pay attention, be aware.
Yes.
And remember that you're connecting to what you already are.
That's exactly it. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, the wisdom is already there. It's kind of like wanting toast and never plugging in the toaster.
Right.
I mean, if you want toast, you got to plug in the toaster. If you want to vacuum your floor, you can push that vacuum around all day. If you don't plug into the electricity, it's not going to do anything. So meditation, that's where it's at.
So you're a meditator.
Oh, yes.
What kind of meditation do you practice?
Sit still, shut my mouth, and just connect.
Okay.
And it's different every time. I had to learn not to put a expectation on anything.
Yes.
That is the number one. Yes. Don't put an expectation on anything. And so my meditation time is sitting quiet, just close my eyes. Sometimes I'll listen to soft music, sometimes I want silence, but I just sit. I find a comfortable spot, I close my eyes, and once you start doing it, you can quiet your mind. You begin to feel almost like an out-of-body experience, and it's the feeling in and of itself is worth it. But a lot of times, the inspiration that you'll get, there's so many times I'm like in the middle of meditating, I'm like, oh, hold on, I gotta write that down.
That's it. What is something that your mother has said to you that inspires you to this day?
My mom, I would say there's not something that she has said, but the way that she taught me love, that my childhood, if I were to lay it all out, a lot of people would be like, oh my gosh, that's sad. But it wasn't sad because it created who I am. My mother didn't have the best childhood. What she brought to the table as a mother for me, which she did not get to experience when she was a child, was love. She, if there's ever a such thing as knowing what sacrificial love is, my mom. I know that if someone were to break in the house with a gun, she would have thrown herself on top of me, no ands, ifs, or buts. There's no way anybody would have harmed me. She would have died for me. And knowing that love gave me the ability to know what love is about, and then gave me the ability to be open to what perfect love looks like.
Okay. Something that your father said that motivates you to this day.
Well, again, I'm going to say my father and I weren't super close. We didn't have a whole lot of conversations, so there's not a whole lot that I can take away from what he said. But watching his lifestyle, I learned a lot about love in a different way. And what I learned is that people are people, no matter if they're man, woman, black, white, hateful, loving, they are people. And even in them coming across as mean or rude or whatever, it's always because of an experience that they've had that has caused them a scar, a pain. And they're speaking from the scar and the pain. And I know this because we're all created from the same source, which is love. So anyone that's not acting from love, it's not who they truly are. They've likely encountered some things before they met you or before they knew you that caused them to put up walls or to act in a certain way because it's what they've seen. But when you can love them and you can shine that light back on love, then you light the path for them to see it.
Okay. What is something you tell yourself every day? No, actually, we've already asked that question. What is a word that God's given you that motivates you every day?
There are a lot of words. If I could go by one, it's connection. It's simply connection. An example, this morning, I was going to go to a yoga class with a friend, and I had meditated, but I hadn't yet made the connection. It was like a soft connection, but I have learned that if you're connected, then you've got power at all times. If you're not connected, then you're just running on auto mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to not be connected because then I'm kind of making decisions without that edge, So I was getting ready to leave. I'm making me something quick to eat, and that guidance, I call him Bernard because that's my nickname for him. Bernard's like, I know. It's a whole other story. It's a whole other story. We gotta talk about It's Bernard. A whole other story, yeah. But he was like, okay, Bex, here's the deal. How do you feel? And that's probably the thing, more than even connected. How do you feel? I'm like, I feel mediocre. And he's like, you want to go out in the world and dress like that? Do you want to go out in the world with no power? Do you want to take a car out with no gas? Because let's be honest, I created this entire world. You think I can't get you ready for that competition? What's more important? Your alignment, your power, or that yoga class? Because I can create an arm. I can grow an ear back. I can transform your body like this if that's what you want it. But the power is where you're going to get the most productivity in your day. Not just for you, but for anybody else. So I text my friend, I'm not going to make it to yoga class. I'll see you afterwards for coffee. And I went and got my notebook and I sat back down. And I didn't get up until I was ready.
You don't just listen, you abide, you take note, and you follow the instructions.
Yeah.
So when I wake up in the morning, if I wake up and I want to drag around for 2 hours, I do. If I wake up and I don't want to go to work, I won't until I do.
Right.
I thought I was the only person that operated in that system, which, again, brings me back to the awesomeness of Rebecca. And Bernard now. I know about Bernard.
Right.
I'm glad you operate like that. It gives you the ability to stay connected.
Right.
To stay connected.
Right.
And I think that's what happens with a lot of us in the world is that, first of all, either there's no connection or we get connected for a moment. Like when I first started meditation, I did it so good, and all of a sudden I was in deep space, and it was like I was little, but I was big at the same time. It was very miraculous, but then I didn't do it anymore. I lost the connection, and I went through the world for like 15 more years before I got connected again.
Right.
I think most of the world is walking around without the connection and without a connection and in fear.
Yes.
And in fear. How can we as a race, like the entire globe, if you had the opportunity to speak to the entire globe, and the question was, how can we get connected? What would you say?
I would say, first and foremost, those of us who know that that's the power and that's where it's at, don't compromise it. Because some people that haven't experienced it don't even know what it looks like to find it if they got there. They may sit into meditation and think they're having a seizure if something like that happened to them, because it would be so foreign. So those of us who know what it's like to be connected and to shine that light, then do it with everything that you've got, because it feels like we are the minority. But when you can live it out loud, then people hear about it and they go, okay, wait a minute. She has everything she ever said she was going to go for. And she's happy, like genuinely. Like if someone were to come to me today and say, hey, you got to give me all of your stuff. Like everything, you got to give it all to me. I'd be like, oh my God, this is so exciting because he's got something really big for me. Yeah. He's taking it all. So now he's about to really blow up. It wouldn't be, oh my God, are you kidding? You're taking all my stuff. That's what makes me happy. It doesn't make me happy because I know there's more. There's always more. And when you live like that, people are like, what do you have that I don't? And then you can say, oh, let me tell you. But for those that have not experienced it, I would say that we are so busy in our physical bodies trying to effort things happening. We don't even realize that it was never meant to be about efforting. It was meant to be about living out your dreams and your desires. I have two really good friends right now that are very affluent, successful attorneys. Both of them hate their job. One wants to be a farmer, and the other wants to open an outfitter store. Neither of them want to be attorneys, but because you are successful if you are an attorney, you are successful if you are a doctor, you are successful if you have this affluent career or what looks to be, but these people are efforting and they're not enjoying the life that they have. They're making money, but they're not happy. Money does not equate happiness.
I'm glad I understand that now, but yes.
But if you find, like, people ask me, how do you do all that you do? Like, aren't you exhausted? I'm like, I'm playing every day. I am playing every day, doing everything that I love. It just so happens it gets to be a business as well.
Do y'all understand why I love this woman? Like, God. Okay, so that's how I feel.
Right.
That's why I can do this and go sell a car and come home and do this and all it because I'm doing what I love and I'm playing. So should we take life life less seriously?
Oh, for sure.
And how do we do it beyond meditation? Just give me an example of one way to take it less, to be more joyful, more happy in your day.
Let's just say, and this might really get some people, but if you woke up in the morning and everything was stripped from you, but you were still breathing, you can still make this life anything you wanted. Yeah. Because you have life. Right. So if you're breathing, that's something that gives you the ability to do anything that you want to do here on earth. If you can see, if you can hear, if you have two hands, if you have 2 feet, if you can walk, if you're mobile, the sky's the limit. There's nothing that can stop you. No person, no marriage, no child, no relationship, no career. There's nothing that can stop you except you. The sky is the limit.
Yes. It's 6 o'clock.
Okay.
But I don't care if it's 6 o'clock. I guess we needed 2 hours.
We can definitely do it again.
Okay, good. Yeah. Actually, let's make it to where you're a mainstay of the show.
Okay.
Because what just happened is I'm going to take 5-minute snippets and use them in the show, in various shows.
Awesome.
I'll do the full interview as well, but I'm going to use your conversation as motivational tools inside of the show. That way I have my main conversation with whoever, and then there's Rebecca giving you some pointers, and then we'll come back to it and we'll connect it to your channels and
I love that.
Like that. I don't know. So I feel like a little giddy little boy when you come around, for real, because of that first encounter.
Yeah.
That first encounter just kind of turned me into this little teddy bear. Like, how did she know? How did she?
He knows.
Yeah, but it was you in the presence, and I know how the universe works.
Yeah.
But this is still an ashtray.
Right.
This is still, and I always get a little weird inside. Like when I saw you at the dealership, and I was like, I texted my boy. I said, "Is that Rebecca Starling?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, that's my baby, man. Send her back up here. Let her know that." Yeah, that's what you do to me. So awesome. I hope that it translates to my viewers, because I want them to feel how I feel.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really sweet.
What do I need to tell? What do you need to tell people today? So if these were your last words ever to be spoken, what would you say?
I would say this life is a gift, and you only get it in this body once. The present is a present. You can make it whatever you want. You have the choices to live this life on your terms without caring what anyone else thinks and without letting anyone set limitations. It's only up to you.
And on that note, we're going to end the show. Thank y'all for coming by, watching, whether you're live on the Facebook or live on or watching on YouTube. Once again, we're all about success, prosperity, and vision. Y'all be sure to check Rebecca Starling out where?
Metabolism Mastered.
Metabolism Masters with an S.
It's an ED. Mastered.
Okay. Mastered.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And TikTok.
Yes.
No Twitter or YouTube yet?
I do have YouTube,
okay.
yeah. I have Twitter. I just, it's kind of one of those things I have yet to get, on it.
Me neither. What about, what do you think about Elon Musk taking it over? Do you think it's going to be more attractive?
I think if Elon Musk has a dream and a desire, then it will be completely successful. Anyone that has a dream and a desire and has no doubt that they can do it, there's nothing that can stop them.
Dreams, desire, absent of doubt.
Yes.
Will bring you success, prosperity, and vision. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for coming by.